Hi, guys. If you have your Bibles, it's going to be Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verses 1 through 11. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, 1 through 11. It'll be on the screen here in just a moment, but we're going to read that towards the end. I just want to say we're leading to those scriptures there. The title is, What Are You Waiting For? What are you waiting for? See, in the Old Testament, there are three major festivals. We have the festivals. The first festival is the Feast of Passover. It is usually held in April each year at the beginning of the harvest. It was the festival that God's people recalled how God had been their Savior by miraculously leading them out of slavery in Egypt. It's through the Passover we see in Exodus with Moses and as the angel of death walked by the people's doors as they put the blood of the lamb upon the door. And it's a festival to remember every year what they have been delivered from. The second major festival was the Feast of Weeks, or the Feast of Harvests. It's where the Jews gave thanks to God for the crops. This festival occurred at the end of the barley harvest. It was also known as Pentecost because it's trying to be 50 days after Passover. You had Passover, then you had your 50 days after Passover. It's like the day of Pentecost we see in the book of Acts. And the third festival was the Feast of the Tabernacle. Which occurred after, hey guys, it occurred after the grapes and grain harvest was over. So they had the grapes and grain harvest, and they had a festival after it. So every year the Jews were preparing and waiting for this harvest. And as we look at the harvests in the world, it was at these harvests that the Jews would camp for weeks in a tent, and they would prepare themselves for this time. They would prepare themselves for this opportunity, recalling the dwelling in the temple, regarding the dwelling in the desert, regarding the part and the time in their life when they're preparing for something great. So what's the harvest are you waiting for? What's the part in your life that you're waiting to come in your life? And why is it? Why do we need an invitation to partake in those things? Think about that for a second. There's so many harvests in the world that we celebrate through the Jews, but there's also a lot of harvest in our life that we celebrate in our lives. You know, just think about this for a second. Every week we're celebrating our paycheck on Fridays. When our paycheck comes around, we're saying, oh, I got paid today. And you're ready to celebrate because you got to go pay some bills or go to a grocery store or something. And then we have a celebration that we have through the birth of our child. We're waiting like our friend Jacob. You know, he's been waiting for 9 months for his third son to be born. He's waiting for this time in his life to happen. What is it you're waiting for? What is it you're waiting for to do with your life or to do in your life? What's this major event that you're waiting to happen that hasn't happened yet? Because people have a different ideas of what that harvest is. We have a different idea of what that harvest means to us, what it means to our family, what it means to the church, what it means to everything else. And it seems like too many times people are waiting and waiting and waiting and letting opportunity after opportunity pass by them. Imagine the Jews when these three big festivals come into effect and they're waiting for this time and they just sleep through it. And I think that's what's going on in the churches today. We're just sleeping through these major events, these major times, these major opportunities we have to do something great. Right now is an opportunity for the church to do something great, something fantastic, something amazing, something that is so wrapped up in God's word that we bring glory to Him with our testimonies and with our lives. What is it you're waiting for? Maybe it's something in our own thinking we're waiting for. Maybe we're waiting for something that we think ought to happen that hasn't happened yet. And we're missing by all the opportunities that God has laid forth. It's amazing. When I first got into ministry about 20 years ago, when I was contemplating ministry, when I was praying, when I was thinking, I was at another church. I was a youth pastor in another church. And I remember falling on my face and praying and waiting to see what was God's leading for me. And God always said, you're going to pastor a church. And I said, well, I'm not allowed to pastor a church. God just, I'm divorced. I just got out of prison. No, God said, you're going to do this. And so I started looking for other churches that were hiring, and I became an associate pastor in another church. And then I never had the idea of really planting a church. I always thought I would take over somebody else's problem instead of creating my own. That's what I thought about ministry. But the God kept telling me for all these years, no, you need to do this, you need to do this. And I didn't do that for a long time until I finally said, God, yes, I will. And that's a living way come into existence from that planting. When we think about those moments in our life, we have all these opportunities. Brothers, sisters, you have so many opportunities in your life right now to make a difference in people's lives, to make a difference in your family's lives, to make a difference in this world, to make a difference in the church. What are you waiting for to do it? Why has it taken us so long to go through these things? Why has it taken us so long to get the memo, to get the message? So what harvest are you waiting for? Is it the harvest of your finances? You think you have to have a certain amount of money in order to accomplish your goals? Would your harvest be a relationship? There's a lot of people in this world who are waiting for a relationship. Oh, I'm going to wait till I get married. I'm going to wait to have a relationship. I'm going to wait till I do this before this happens in my life. And that's not God's word. That's not what God is trying to accomplish in your life. He's trying to grow us and grow the churches. He's trying to grow the ministry of Jesus Christ. He is trying to multiply and get people saved for the grace and glory of Jesus Christ. He's trying to show people your life through Jesus Christ. And we are waiting too long. We're just waiting past the time. So what is it you're waiting for? What does the harvest look like in the church? You know, if we look in this world, there are so many ripe people that are ready for picking. There's so many people that are struggling right now. They're struggling and suffering through hardships, through drug addictions, through financial insecurities, through hunger insecurities, through loneliness. There's so many people in our world that are suffering right now, waiting for somebody to say, come with me. Waiting for somebody to say, I love you the way Christ loves you. Will you come and join me today? Hey, you don't have to go to my church. I'll go to yours. And we'll celebrate glory together for a minute. What are you waiting for? Because the harvest is ready. It's ripe. And it's there in this world. And it seems like when Jesus said that the harvest is ready, but the workers are few, is never truer than it has been here lately. The harvest is ready. People are ready to hear the gospel. They're ready to see the gospel. Most of all, see it in your lives. But what are we waiting for? I want to make three specific principles about the harvest and three things we need to know and understand. For one, harvest is a consequence. Number two, harvest is a process. And number three, harvest is a season. So the first process we need to understand is the harvest is a consequence. We will always reap what we sow. In Galatians 6, 7 through 10, it says, do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that he will also reap. For he who sows to his flesh will reap corruption, but he who sows in the Spirit will reap the Spirit of everlasting life. And let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due seasons we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Therefore, as we have opportunity, let us do good to all, especially to those who are the household of faith. The harvest is a consequence of what you sow. What are we sowing into the world right now? What I mean by this is we don't become farmers and go plant corn expecting soybeans. We don't get out in the field and say, oh, I'm going to go plant corn today and I'll harvest the soybeans when they're done. The soybeans won't get done. They bring corn. An apple tree produces what? Apples. You don't grow an apple. When I was a kid, my mom had these apple trees. It was terrible. She had about 4 apple trees, and we kept waiting for them to produce apples. They never produced apples. Finally, they just rotted and died. And I think about that sometimes in the church. I think about that sometimes in my own personal life, is we're waiting for something to grow, and something never grows. And finally, next thing we know, it's 20 years later, and it never grew anything. When we grow something, we got to expect the process to happen through those things. When we give out love to people, we need to expect to reap that love. And I'm not talking about they're going to love you back, because they may not love you back. But I'm going to say that we show the love of Jesus Christ to people, and people can look at that and say, that's what Jesus looks like. Instead of showing hate to the world, that's what's going on right now in the world, it seems like. We're showing so much hate. We're showing so much dissension. We're showing so many things in this world that just makes it chaotic instead of showing Jesus Christ. Because when we sow the love of Jesus Christ, we show Jesus. And Jesus is lifted up in the church, and he's lifted up in our own lives. This is the consequence. It's the same thing with the household. And I know a lot of us grew up in chaotic households. I did myself, alcoholic, mean father. And that's the kind of things that was happening in my home. The parents come on, my mom was so bitter, my dad was usually drunk, the fighting, the anger all day long when I was growing up. Guess what it sowed in our household? Nothing but chaos, nothing but walking on eggshells, nothing but dissension in our household. It's the same thing in this world, family. If we're going to sow hatred, we're going to reap hatred. If we're going to sow racism, we're going to reap racism. If we're going to sow in anything other than Jesus Christ, we are sowing wrong and we're not doing it right. Because the church should be lifting people up and lifting this world up. This should be the sanctuary people want to go in. They want to see the love of Jesus Christ happen in people's lives. And in order to do that, we have to plant. We have to have this harvest. We have to prepare the fields because the fields are ready. They're ready to plant the seed of Jesus Christ. And with the things we plant in that field, we will reap. But we can't grow weary of doing those things. It's interesting in Galatians 6, verse 9. It says, do not grow weary of doing good. That word weary is an interesting word. If you look up the Greek, it actually means to toil to the point of exhaustion. That's what it means. That's what weary means. It's not an attitude. It's overworking to the point of exhaustion, to the point of, take it for instance, like work. I'm sure a lot of us have got up for work one day. You know what? I don't want to go to work today. We get this part, I don't want to go. I remember working overtime and, 60, 70 hours a week, welding and, getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning thinking, I don't want to go today. I don't want this to be a part of my life. That's what Paul is talking about to the church of Galatia, is we don't want to get to that point in ministry. We don't want to get to that point in love where we sow in that kind of hate in our life. Because I know every time I went to work like that, I don't want to go. Work was terrible that day. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? When you have that attitude in the morning, my wife had to point this out to me when I was, I don't want to get up. I don't want to go. Trying to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to get ready for work. And she says, you know what? This is how your day is going to be the rest of the day. Because you started it off as this. And you're going to go to work with the same mentality. And work is going to, and it did. A 10-hour shift turned into like 30 hours. I don't know how you can work 30 hours in one day, but that sure seemed what it felt like. Because I sowed that into my job, and I sowed that into my heart, and I sowed it into reality in my life. Church, if we're going to do the same thing with the ministries, we're going to do the same thing, we're going to just sow dissension. No wonder people don't want to go to church anymore. No wonder people don't want what we have. It's because what we're sowing. It's what we're planting. And what we're planting is ugly. And it's not love. It's chaos. There's a consequence to the harvest we reap. There's a consequence to our lives. And that consequence shows so much. It's like when dad is a chaotic monster in the house, that entire household becomes chaotic. The church has become chaotic right now. We need to stop all the chaos. Pull the weeds and start planting love of Jesus Christ. Start planting the compassion of Jesus Christ. Start planting grace and mercy of Jesus Christ, showing the world what Christ did for us. Because Christ didn't treat me like that. He didn't treat me like an animal. He didn't treat me like a monster. He didn't treat me with hatred. He taught me with love, so much love that he went to the cross and died for me. That's what he planted. And it grew to something else in my life. Harvest is a consequence. I'm not even talking about karma. Karma is a lie. Just so you guys understand how karma is. Oh, you get what you get. No, that's not talking about karma. I'm talking about consequence. Karma is just a part of luck. I'm talking about consequences in our life. The consequences of the world right now is based on what we did to it. The consequences of the church right now is based on what we did with it. The consequences of people's lives right now is the consequences of how we lived it out ourselves. The most common seeds we sow every day are the words we speak. I'm going to tell you right now, As a young man, I was thinking about this earlier. As a young man, I don't remember my parents telling me they were proud of me. I don't remember that. They may have done it, but it was so rare that I may have missed it. But I think a lot of you had the same kind of childhood growing up. And maybe you had a mom and dad say, I didn't love you. That you knew they loved you, but they didn't say it. I was on the phone the other day with my son, and I told him, son, he was all freaked out about, he got a loan to help work on his house. He was really high anxiety. And I said, son, I'm really proud of you. And there was silence on the other end of the line because we were sowing something there into his life. Brothers and sisters, you can sow something amazing into the life of those sitting next to you by encouraging them, not discouraging them, not joining in gossip, not joining in all of the hatred of the world. Throw the conspiracies out the window. Really join in the gospel of Jesus Christ. Say, I don't know, but God does. Let's go there first. Let's start in prayer. Let's go to church together. Let's stay sober together. Let's do this. Let's encourage each other, because that encouragement grows into a tree, grows into something so mighty, something so great that can't be fallen down. The wind will come up against it, but you're so encouraged. People are so excited that the wind can come up against it and say, you know what, wind? Not today. Not today. That's the kind of seed we need to start sowing in people's lives. Not only the words we see, but the way we act and what we show. Because we live in a world you can say whatever you want. Think about that for a second. You can say whatever you want. We live in a world you have the right to say whatever you want, but you're going to live how you believe. Right? You can say that you're a Christian and live like the devil. That's what this world is right now. But if we're going to say we know Jesus Christ and we love like Jesus Christ, then we need to act like we love like Jesus Christ. And sow those kinds of things in the heart of our children and to the heart of church. How often do we share the free gift of Jesus Christ to somebody else? How often do we share our own testimony? It could be a 2-minute checkout testimony when you say to somebody that you were saved by the grace of Jesus Christ. It could be just a brief moment when you show somebody Jesus Christ, give them a hope, give them an opportunity to, when their life goes falling down through the scales of life, that they know where to go to. I want to go to Jesus. What you sow has a consequence. How often do you speak when you should be silent? We say stuff out the side of our neck sometimes. Repeat hatred. There's a consequence to your life. What are you waiting for to sow? The second principle is harvest is a process. It says, don't get tired of doing what is good. Don't be discouraged and give up. This is a process. Back to the farmer. The farmer plants that corn. He doesn't turn around and say, okay, corn. He doesn't just turn around 5 minutes later, waiting for where's my corn at? It hasn't grown. That's how we're treating life. That's how we're treating things right now. We're waiting for something to happen so quickly, something to happen right now, that if it doesn't happen right now, I'm done with this farming stuff. My corn didn't grow the first hour after I planted it. I'm done. That's how we're treating our jobs. That's how we're treating relationships. That's how we're treating children. That's how we're treating school. That's how we're treating all these things. There's a process to be had in these things. It takes months, years sometimes, for these things to mature and grow in us. It's the same thing with church. I see a lot of people come into church, and the first day they hear some songs and they get emotional about it, and their heart just starts fluttering. Thank God, I'm free. The next day they're out using drugs again. No, this is a process. We hang on to it. We grasp a hold of these things, and we wait for the presence of God, and we continue to sow. We continue to watch. We continue to pull the weeds out of the garden of life, because them weeds get so thick that they choke out everything else. This process we go through takes time. When I first got out of prison in 2003, my kids wouldn't talk to me for almost 2 years. They wouldn't. They wouldn't talk to me for almost 2 years. And I'll tell you why they wouldn't talk to me for almost 2 years. Because they were just waiting for Dad to go back. That's what I showed them. That was the kind of harvest that I gave in their life for all the years they were growing up. The dad's just a drug addict. Dad's going to go back to prison. He says all these things. He tries to do all these things. He just ends up right back. And they didn't want to be hurt no more by it. It took 2 years for them kids to see that I'm serious about this, that I'm serious about Jesus, that I'm serious about sobriety. And they said, okay, maybe he's right, true this time. Maybe his life is reflecting that this time. And they started every little bit just tiptoeing in to my life. And 22 years later, they're now a part of my life. That's the process we have to take. It's not immediate. Farming is not instant. The harvest is not right now. The harvest is the things we planted and the things we see to grow. These are the things that are growing in our life and growing in our heart. For all those who are new to Christianity, for those who are new to church, those who are new to Bible study, this is time to learn, time to soak it in, a time to make it a part of your life. So when those hard times come, those hardships come, you are prepared and you are ready. We live in an instant society. Instant. Everything we want our money instant. We don't want to work for it. We want it now. We want a microwave society where we don't want to have to prepare and chop our vegetables. My grandma used to sit at her kitchen table all day long. Chris remembers this. She would sit there all day long at the kitchen table and chop up vegetables. She would. She would chop. She made this salad that was so tiny. It was so good, but she was there all day long to do it. Unlike us, who want to rip a bag open, there's salad. That's how we're living our life right now. We want it all. We want it all right now. The process in our life is the process. It's a growth, maturity. We do the same thing with our children. I think it's time we let our kids be kids. I do. I really think our kids should be children. Yes, we need to prepare them for adulthood. We need to let them grow up. But when they're this tall, they don't need to be doing our taxes. When they're this tall, they don't need to be. They need to be playing and being social and understanding the aspects of what it is to be a child. So they have that childhood growing up that they didn't have to be an adult at 5 years old like the rest of us. That process in our life is so amazing that if we continue to grow it, if we continue to live it, and we lift it up to the name of Jesus Christ, we can finally reap the harvest that is prepared for us and have that kind of relationship. If we look at relationships even, boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, we want to sleep together, play house together. We want to have all this stuff right now. We want to move in next day. We want to meet somebody on a Wednesday. We're moved in by Friday because we want to play house now. Instead of dating and having that time to grow together, and instead of having that time to grow, to see if we're even compatible for marriage. That's why so many people break up so quickly, because when the time they got to know each other, you realize you really don't like each other that well. Anybody else been there with that one? You don't have to raise your hands because you might be sitting next to them. Don't do that. But that's life. That's what we do. We want it. We want it now. The process is the process. It may take you a couple years to get promoted. It may take you a couple years of work, hard work, to get the money that you need to survive. It may take you these things in your life, but we can't get them sometimes right now instant. Corn doesn't grow overnight. And we need not to toil to the point of exhaustion where we hate everything and everyone in our life. And the third principle, harvest is a season. A harvest of blessings at the appropriate time or due season. And we talked about it last week a little bit. The word kairos means fixed time. It means appointed time. Hora means an hour, or like right now it was 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock is hora. But appointed time is the time that's appointed for you to get something done. It's that season that God set aside for you. And he says, now is the time. Now is your opportunity to know me. Now is your opportunity to share your witness. Now is your opportunity to tell your child sitting next to you how much you love him. Now is that opportunity, that time, that kairos in your life. It's a fixed appointment time, a seasonable time, the right time, and a limited period of time. Understanding that our harvest is a season, we know how to discern the appropriate time. Back to farmers. When the field that a crop finally comes in, they have to harvest it at that appropriate time. They don't get it before that because it's not ready. They don't get it after that because it's dead. There's an appointed time for that harvest. And it's the same in your own life. Because you may not have another time. Unfortunately, we bury a lot of people. Car wrecks of a 19-year-old girl last week. A young man, 19, drug overdose in Quincy. All these things come and go. Our life is a vapor. And if we miss that appointed time, or we don't take that opportunity to know Jesus Christ, that opportunity to tell somebody about Jesus Christ, that opportunity to tell our child how much we love them, we may not get another. And that's a sad point to make, because we don't know what tomorrow will bring for us or for them. And I'm just not willing to let another day go by without telling my wife that I love her, without telling my children that I'm thinking of them today, without sharing the gospel of my life with somebody. See, Jesus wept over Jerusalem as he entered because of lack of understanding of the season. He wept. Jesus wept over Jerusalem. He looked up on Jerusalem and saw that they don't know that I'm here. They don't understand that it's that time of the Savior. They don't understand it. He said, I wish I can gather them together as chickens gathers the hens. I wish that they would understand that I'm here. And he wept for Jerusalem because they missed that appointed time. We need to be wise and know that the season is a harvest. Likewise, we need to make the most of every opportunity that comes our way, because that opportunity may not come back. Sobriety, for instance. There's quite a few people here in recovery, I myself included. And if you don't take this opportunity, you may not get another. That's the sad nature of what's happening in this world right now. And you guys know this. You may not have another one in you, and you may not get another opportunity. For your children, you may not have another opportunity to let them know that you care for them, that you're their dad, that you're their mom. For your grandchildren, and for the family lineage all the way down. Ecclesiastes 3 tells us there's a season for everything, and that's the time. Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 11. It says to everything there is a season. That season to talk about is the kairos, that opportunity, that appointed moment in history. A time for every purpose under heaven. A time to be born, a time to die. A time to plant, and a time to pluck what is planted. A time to kill, and a time to heal. And a time to break down, and a time to build up. A time to weep, and a time to laugh. A time to mourn, and a time to dance. A time to cast away stones, and a time to gather stones. A time to embrace, and a time to refrain from embracing. A time to gain, a time to lose. A time to keep, and a time to throw away. A time to tear, and a time to sow. A time to keep silent, and a time to speak. A time to love and a time to hate, a time of war and a time of peace. In verse 9, what profit has the worker from that in which he labors, if he has seen God-given tasks which the sons of men were occupied? He has made everything beautiful in its time, in its kairos. Also, he has put eternity into their hearts, except that no one can find out the works that God does from the beginning of time. As we draw this to a close, I want you to think about that. There's a time for everything. Church, I believe our time is now. I believe our time is now to show Jesus. Our time is now to put away the hate. Our time now is a time to heal. Our time now is a time to lift up. Our time now is a time to love. Our time now is a time to be loved and let somebody else love you today. What is it you're waiting for? Don't let this time pass you by, because God truly wants to bless you. What father doesn't? Think about that for a second in your own life. I want to give my children everything. I want to bless them. I do. I want to bless them with everything I have. The Father in heaven wants the same from you. He wants to give you these blessings. And he wants to be a part of your life and upon your heart. And he wants you to share his love with others. And he wants you to be loved by others. Love given and love taken is an amazing reaping and sowing of our life. What are you waiting for? Are you waiting for an invitation? Today's your invitation. Today's it. Your invitation to know Jesus Christ, to know God in your heart and in your mind, in your spirit, and in your household. This is the time to show somebody that you love them, a time to let somebody love on you, a time to be a part of something, a time to reap something amazing, and a time to sow something that will last. This is your opportunity. And I'm praying that you don't let it go by you. He has placed the principle of harvest in all of our hearts this morning. And we need to understand what that harvest is. We need to understand that it is a product of our sowing. Therefore, we need to sow the seeds at the right time, the right seed for the right purpose. It's a process of growth. Therefore, we need to prepare our lives. Those sins in your life, ask God to forgive them. Ask God to remove them because they're not doing us any good. Those hidden sins, you know the ones in your life. They need to be gone. It's a period of time. We need to be sensitive in this season and understand that the time is now. And get everyone to stand.